with what they finished up under Jonathan Gannon and how the defense, Trey McBride, now Kyler Murray being absolutely healthy, and now having a new offensive weapon in Marvin Harrison Jr. So here to join us, the Arizona sports fan for everything Arizona. Mike joins us here on the show. So, I mean, it makes sense, right? You know, when I describe it as the best worst team, meaning like, yes, this team is obviously going to go through its worst spurt. However, it ain't about how you start. It's about how you finish, and then you go into the next season with the expectation that this team is going to be fully healthy. You've got brand new pieces, and the team's ready to roll. And now with Kyler Murray being back healthy, hopefully this team could look a lot better under Jonathan Gannon. So how did you evaluate last year, and then what the expectations going into this year will look like for the Arizona Cardinals?
Awesome. Well, just first things first, appreciate you for having me on, Jake. I absolutely appreciate it. And I like that you actually said that about the Arizona Cardinals, because you don't hear a lot of people talk good things about the Cardinals at all. But yeah, I completely agree. I think with the Arizona Cardinals, the way that they finish, there's a lot of promise when it comes down to just the Cardinals in general, in terms of like the physicality, the culture change. And you don't really know what I mean, but I mean culture change, because like there was just so much bad yuckiness when it comes down to the Cardinals organization with the last regime and everything that kind of happened. There's this whole thing that happened in Mexico. It was just this whole weird thing. Now that we cleaned up shop and now have Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, you could tell that this team is very, very pro Jonathan Gannon. They know that, or at least they're following, right? They're actually believing in what he's actually preaching, which is good. And you don't really see Kyler Murray smile very often under the last regime, but he's smiling a lot now in training camp, preseason, anything surrounded the Cardinals. He's always have a smile on his face, and it's really, really cool. But yeah, continue to talk about last year. They were very, very a physical team when people didn't expect the Cardinals to do anything last year. Now, granted, yes, we only won 4 games, but like, we played a lot of teams pretty darn tough. Now, I guess the biggest shock one was probably the Cowboys earlier in the season, but the biggest one late in the season was the Eagles game, where they were demolishing us, and we ended up coming back, and a lot of Eagles fans were absolutely pissed off, and it kind of made me excited about that. But like, even the 49ers, we played tough. We heard George Kittle, we heard Nick Bosa talk about how physical this Arizona Cardinals team was. So it's a step in the right direction, definitely. And now having Kyler Murray fully healthy from the get, people forget he's a 2-time Pro Bowler, offensive rookie of the year, right? And it's easy to forget, especially if you're talking about the Cardinals and an organization that we're coming off 2 back-to-back 4-win seasons, one with Cliff Kingsbury, and then the other one with Jonathan Gannon just starting at the helm. So it's easy to forget what he did, but man, we're excited here in the desert. A lot of us are very optimistic about what Kyler could do. And you mentioned the weapons that we got, right? Trey McBride, up and coming superstar, hopefully in our eyes, at tight end, which we never had before. James Conner, one of the most hardest running guys we've had, and you just had a Steelers guy, so he probably knows about James Conner as well. So, and Marvin Harrison Jr., add him. Michael Wilson going into his second year. We added Zay Jones. Greg Dortch is a dog. So we're really excited about the offensive weapons. There's still a little unknown with the defense, and I think we'll get into that a little later on. But yeah, definitely high praises and a lot of excitement here in the desert for the Cardinals.
I'll tell you what, though, like, speaking of Kyler Murray smiling, I'm sure like off the field, he's usually smiling when his kill death ratio is literally like off the charts, but that's another story another time. But yeah, I mean, I felt like Kyler Murray, the previous years, they've been distracted years. And I think it was something that, when you have a culture guy, and I use these things for example, when you got an Andy Reid, you got a Kyle Shanahan, you get a Jim Harbaugh, you get culture guys that are setting, the tone in this organization that players buy into. So to me, I feel very good of the fact that Kyler Murray feels like he's buying into this product, that he's going to come out, he's going to show up, and he's going to prove to people like, look, I was distracted, but now I'm fully focused and I'm ready to play from here. So, looking at it with Kyler Murray, and yeah, being a former Pro Bowler, a former Rookie of the Year, especially with how the NFC West really is going to turn out, because I have a very strong feeling the Cardinals may end up finishing as a good third place team, in my opinion. What says you?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this Cardinals team has a very, very real shot. I think it's all contingent on health. We were watching a lot of preseason games and just kind of the evaluation of we have. I think in terms of like the starters, I think a lot of us are confident in what we got. Biggest, weakest point is probably the edge rusher on the defensive side of the ball. But as long as Kyler Murray can stay healthy, I think we can go as far as he can take us. And I think we've seen Kyler Murray go 10-3, right? We've had a undefeated season for, I believe it was like a 7-game stretch. So I mean, we know that we can do it, right? As long as Kyler can stay healthy, I think this Arizona Cardinal team can make some noise. And it's a different offense too. A lot of people don't really talk about how different this offense is compared to what we were running before with Cliff Kingsbury, just a kind of air raid, spread them out, 5 people protect. And if they send a blitz, you're kind of, Kyler Murray has to play superhero all the time. This offense isn't dependent on Kyler Murray being a superhero anymore. Obviously, he can run out of the pocket if need be, but we're mainly going to be running the ball. James Conner is going to be the workhorse. We're probably going to have Trey Benson have a big workload maybe towards the later part of the season, but Mario DeMarcado, Michael Carter, we got weapons in the backfield. I think we're going to primarily be a running team. Now that might be 55, 60%. It's not going to be like too crazy, but I think we're going to be a running team. Kyler Murray has some weapons on the outside with Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. But yeah, I can definitely very well see this Cardinal organization / team be a solid 3 in the division. And it's such a tough division too. The NFC West is always going to have the 49ers, always kind of feel like they're competing for the Super Bowl every year. And then you got the Rams. Now, I'm not too high on the Seahawks, but kudos to them. They're supposed to be going to a rebuild year and they just win. They find a way to win. So definitely kudos to them. But I can definitely very well see the Cardinals being a 3 in the division, but with a good record for sure.
Yeah, because I just feel like with the Seahawks and usually with any team that gets a brand new coach, usually sometimes it's growing pains.
Yep.
Get through it in the first year, and then you see how the second year turns out, much like with what's happening with Jonathan Gannon. You go through the growing pains first year, second year, you then expect to pop. And so I think, there's a lot of potentiality and defense, like you said, there's question marks there up on the field, but hopefully Gannon, defensive-minded, can understand exactly how the defensive schemes will set up and hopefully get some hidden gems there on certain positions. So the first receiver taken in this draft in a loaded receiving core, Marvin Harrison Jr. And I've seen some pictures where his dad, a Colts great, but then also another former Cardinal that I used to love watching, even from the Colts and the Cardinals, Edgerrin James comes in, and he gives him some advices, really kind of motivates him up from here. I mean, this is kind of the product we all have been long awaiting to see, to translate from Ohio State, a big-time program in the Big Ten, to now being in the pros. And they have produced a lot of very good receivers over the years. How do you expect Marvin Harrison, knowing the NFC, because I think this is a revamp of this entire conference, quarterbacks, receiver play, now you got great defensive players as well. How do you really see him really tackle this on, knowing that he's going to have a bunch of one-on-one matchups and he's going to have opportunities where he's going to try to light up the end zone this year?
Yeah, I mean, with Marvin, obviously I think it's very contingent on Kyler staying healthy as well. I mean, I have faith in our quarterbacks behind Kyler, but Kyler is QB1 for a reason. But I can definitely very well see, Marvin Harrison Jr. being Rookie of the Year. And I think a lot of us here in the Cardinals, fandom, as well as here in the Valley, we believe that this is one of the best prospects we've seen coming out of college in a very, very long time. And everybody's already saying this is as good as it gets when it comes down to like Larry Fitzgerald. Like we would bring Larry Fitzgerald in the mix here. Now, obviously, kind of 2 different players, and we've already kind of heard Larry's take on him, and he has faith in him as well. And I think he can have a really good season. And he's got a good offense with Drew Petzing and just this organization with Kyler Murray at the helm. I think he could very well be a very, very good wide receiver. He's going to be slotted as 1. Like that's what it is. We got a solid number 2 in Michael Wilson. We got Greg Dortch in the slot and then Trey McBride. So yeah, he can very well see a lot of, one-on-one coverage with, the opposing DB. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Now, obviously, I really want to see what he looks like in an NFL game. We were kind of robbed with that it was a week 1 of preseason. They were like, oh, he's going to play. He played 1 drive and it was 3 and out. So he was like literally in and out. Week 2, we didn't see him. So I still kind of want to see what he shows up. I have faith that he can be very, very good. It's just in order for me to have a real evaluation. I want to see what he does in week 1 versus the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, I agree. Because when you get a good idea, especially with offensive weapons, you have an idea how the offensive scheme is going to look like once you plug in that quarterback, and then you just see how the offense works as a whole. So I know with covering the Arizona Cardinals and for Arizona sports as long as you have, they have, I've expressed my thoughts in when I felt very bad for Arizona Coyote fans because they have been like, it was the inaugural, hockey in the desert. First ones to start it off with, in Phoenix. And I felt like that journey road all the way to the end felt just, I don't even know how to even explain it, but it was just like, there was no kind of build for this. They're sharing a hockey rink with Arizona State. And I'm just like, what in the hell's going on? Now they moved to Utah. I know with the Cardinals, they have had spurts where, even as yours truly being no Jake the Snake, with Jake the Snake Plumber at the time, and then moving through the years where Kurt Warner gets them to a Super Bowl, and then arguably one of the greatest Cardinals there wearing the uniform, Larry Fitzgerald. This team had potential, and then it just seemed like, is there even a plan? Like, I look at the Bidwells, and I'm just like, you are with what your ownership is. So with covering this team as long as you have, going from the ups and the downs, I feel like this year could be building something special and something that I think the Cardinal fans really are going to have great hopes for, hopefully for the future, I assume.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of Cardinal fans have their own opinion on the Bidwell family and just Michael Bidwell in general. I think we can all say that we were excited when the new regime came in. We're not used to looking at preseason and looking at these rookies that we just got, or even second-year players, and doing very well in preseason. We're not used to that. We're not used to saying, oh, these guys can make the 53, right? Well, we're not used to that. So this is a different level of a rebuild that we're kind of not used to. I mean, granted, we went through 9-10 plus years with Steve Keim. He had his own kind of mantra, but he did not know how to draft to save his life. Where Monty Ossenfort, you can find a gem in the 4th round or the 5th round. And it's really exciting to see that, because you building longevity in an NFL team, you need to be able to build a draft, right? Obviously free agency and trades is a crucial point too, but being able to draft and getting a very talented, hungry player that's very good in the NFL and playing them in a minimal salary compared to free agency or a trade, there's a lot of upside to that, and just kind of roster building in general. So yeah, I mean, we've seen a shift with the culture with Monty and Jonathan Gannon, obviously Monty being front office, and then you got Jonathan Gannon here at the head coach. So I think we're all excited. Now we're always going to think about Bidwell. He's always going to be like the thorn in our side, especially when the Cardinals organization decided to get a candy burrito. I don't know what that's about. Don't even ask me about that correct candy burrito. But continue to talk about, I think we're all excited because the draft is we're excited about draft night. And it's not just round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, and beyond, because of Monty's ability to be able to pick up gems. And I think that's going to go a long way. We're not seeing it now. I'm seeing it in year 2. A lot of Cardinal fans have not jumped on the bandwagon yet, but wins bring it on. And I think the Cardinals are going to turn it around this year. And I'm just excited about it.
So finally, and I ask a lot of people this because especially closest covering their teams, how do you see, this season pan out with the NFC, I think, going into a humongous wave, quarterback play getting better, defensive stacking up, and then at the same time, the offensive weaponry is just endless. So your record prediction for this team and what we should be able to expect, because honestly, the Arizona Cardinals were my best worst team last year. I now have the Carolina Panthers this year, but interesting to kind of see the outlook with the Arizona Cardinals this year.
So for me, and I think it all is contingent on the health of this, starters and what we have, primarily Kyler Murray. But I could solidly say that I truly feel like the Cardinals can be a 8 to 9 win team. And I get it. our schedule's pretty tough. It's a tough schedule, especially in the beginning where we're starting off with the Bills, the Rams, where we can never seem to get over the hump because they beat us a lot. And then I believe it's the Lions in week 3. So we got a tough stretch, but I do believe in what we've built, the offense and how different it's going to look with Kyler Murray. It's just going to be a different. So I can see this Arizona Cardinals team having 8 to 9 wins. And I think that will make us the number 3 in the division. I'm not going to come out here and say the Cardinals are going to Super Bowl. There's steps to get there. And I feel like the Cardinals in year 2 is going to take that extra step, but I do feel like 8 to 9 wins is reasonable.
Love it, man. I'm excited for this NFL season. That's why, getting the interviews as Chase and I are, we're just digesting all of this information because by the time kickoff in week 1 starts, it's game on for everybody. So, and so at that point, there's no excuses. There ain't no turning back. You got to play it week to week, and we'll see how the rest of the season pans out. But appreciate you, Mike, joining us. Where can people find you getting in on all that desert football with the Arizona Cardinals?
Best way to find out, just basically, or find me as AZ Sports Fan anywhere on YouTube, Twitter, or X, and then Instagram as well. Those are the primary social medias, but the podcast mainly lives on YouTube. I do also go on to Bleacher Report as well. So if you're a big fan of Bleacher Report, I am hosting there for Cardinals coverage there as well.
Well, there you go, guys. Check it out. Bleacher Report as well with the Arizona Cardinals staying in close with the team. Appreciate you, Mike, joining us here. Have a great rest of your week, and we shall see how the Arizona Cardinals pan out this 24 season. Take care, my friend.
All right, bye.
Absolutely. All right. Chase, we're digesting